Crypto World's Jordan Smith spoke to Zain Jaffer, partner at Bluefield Capital, to find out whether Meta's metaverse dreams are fading.
Meta has had this huge pivot to the metaverse. They renamed their company from Facebook. I mean, we saw all of the investment that they were making in the metaverse in 2022 to the point that they were losing $10 billion. And they said that they were expecting to lose $10 billion for years to come until they realize this vision of the metaverse. So right now, at the beginning of 2023, can you tell me what the state of Meta's metaverse is after all of that investment?
Wow. I mean, Meta should probably rename to Facebook.ai, as now Zuck is getting excited about the potential that AI and generative AI has. But if you look at Meta where it is, he has boldly stated, not just changing the name of the company. By the way, in October 2021, when the markets are close to their peak, and I think this was the catalyst moment that just made the bubble continue to go higher and higher and higher over the next few months. Stock markets reached an even all-time new high, and interest in this new idea of the metaverse was just created. But going back to Zuck, he made a bold announcement or strategy that 20% of our investments are going to go into reality labs and the virtual reality and Quest and all of that, and the other 80% is going to go to the core business. What did he say recently now? 2023 is the year of efficiency, marked by, he already did a round of layoffs in November. A new round of layoffs are freshly here now. And if you want to be efficient, is it efficient to spend 20% of your expenses? As you said, tens of billions of dollars. They've actually realized well over $20 billion in losses already being invested into the whole metaverse idea. Now, Facebook has a vision of the metaverse that's very different than I think consumers have, and we all have. We all look at the metaverse and we see AR, we see VR, and that puzzles and disturbs Zuck because he wants to coin his own category. So he creates this idea of the metaverse. But when you look at what it means today, it's goggles you put on your head and you play games. And the top selling items on Quest are indeed games. But the Facebook team seem hell-bent on creating this different vision of the metaverse. And I have a problem with the way this is being approached. And I want to contrast this to crypto. Crypto was built from the ground up. It was built with infrastructure. It has stood the test of time. It's gone through so many different market cycles where everyone's saying this is the end of it. But it was built bottoms up because no large companies came to our rescue.
Yeah, I think bringing up crypto is an important point because the whole ethos of crypto is that it's decentralized, that there is no one major entity who's controlling it, and that affords a greater opportunity for people who are underbanked, who are operating in countries that may have restrictive regimes. When it comes to the metaverse, it is decentralized. That is the goal of the metaverse in theory, but it seems like it's, at least in Meta's case, that they want to own it in the same way that a Web2 company wants to own the social media landscape right now. Can you say that you're a critic of the metaverse? Are you a critic of the ethos of the metaverse and that it's supposed to be decentralized in the vision of the future? Are you a critic of the way that the metaverse has sort of been realized now? Where it is these big companies coming in and trying to build their own version of it, or you've got places like JP Morgan where they have some kind of club or bar within Decentraland. Where does your critique lie?
Something like that, the Onyx Lounge or whatever.
Yeah. Where does your critique lie in that?
I'm more critical about how it's being realized, and a little bit upset to see how Facebook's trying to make it fully centralized. But I'm also a critic of the hype around the metaverse. And I take insult to this because I have a large real estate portfolio. Last few years, I've been buying a lot of real estate through a private equity fund. And I was horrified to see people say, this is our chance to buy land in the metaverse, just like we had the opportunity to buy land in New York 200 years ago. And if you come in now, you can make a lot of money. And you start to see speculators come in. And I'll tell you what really upset me. The fact that crypto started to intertwine with metaverse, and I didn't like that. I didn't like it when Decentraland and Sandbox and all these other platforms had their own crypto coins that people were now starting to buy as a proxy to land appreciation. And when you speak to the fans of the metaverse, you ask them, what is real here? I can see what crypto and blockchain offers. What does this metaverse land offer? What do you hear? Oh, it's a place where you can live, work, and play. I mean, seriously, is someone going to pay rent to sleep in the metaverse the way they do with physical land? So people started to confuse the most conservative of asset classes, real estate, with virtual land that you can spin up at any point, you can change, and there's thousands of metaverses that can exist. I was horrified when I started to see sensible people, and I mean Uber drivers, I mean my family, calling me saying, hey, what do you think about buying land in Decentraland or Sandbox? That's when I realized this is not going to end well. These are the wrong reasons to go in. So I'm also upset about how that part of the metaverse has materialized. And on the other spectrum, what Meta's doing, where it's trying to be more centralized, and currently, that's not the ethos, in my view, of what the promise of metaverse is. The metaverse tech has a lot of potential, but it's where crypto was in its very early days. It's going to take many iterations. We're all going to spend our time in some way in the metaverse, but it's not going to be today when large brands are ready to advertise.
If we focus this conversation on Meta, we sort of laid out where that company is right now with their metaverse, some of the critiques launched at them for their metaverse. And now we're hearing from Mark Zuckerberg that maybe he's sort of quietly backing away from it. I mean, if you look into his comments around AI, or how this year, as you mentioned, is the year of efficiency, that seems like a very different tone in regards to the metaverse, or outright ignoring this metaverse vision compared to a year ago when it was all they were willing to throw cash at. So how has Mark Zuckerberg himself pivoted away from the metaverse?
Facebook was one of those companies that never did a layoff for decades until very recently. How are you supposed to rally the company around a vision like the metaverse when you're going through layoffs? So I'm curious to see how these cuts are going to be spread across the company, and how are they going to handle the fact that they've already rebranded the company to Meta? You can't be more direct than rebranding your entire company. And the shareholders didn't respond well to this at all. The timing was ill-timed because a name change is not easy to reverse. And now I would say the year of efficiency, this is the time for Zuck to probably rebrand to Facebook.ai, which is sort of a joke I'm making here, but really, he does have a lot of opportunity in the generative AI space.
Yeah. If this vision of the metaverse fails at Facebook, as it seems to be questionable right now, what does this mean for Facebook and Meta if this new venture that they've pinned their literal name on doesn't work?
Facebook was built on network effects, and that helped them grow really fast on the way up. If they are distracted, if they fail to fulfill their promise of this year being the year of efficiency, they're going to experience the downsides of network effects in the same way Bebo, MySpace, and hundreds of other social networks did. And they are becoming less relevant in today's world. You've got Snapchat, you've got TikTok, you've got all these other platforms that are now emerging and are taking time away. And they're confused. I mean, did you see the announcement by Facebook or Zuck on, we're going to try to bring teens into the metaverse? Because they're realizing that's the audience you need to go and target. The regulators hate the idea of that. And I think Meta right now is just too big. These layoffs are just symbolic. Meta is still way larger than it was pre-pandemic. And I don't think laying people off is necessarily enough either. You need a clear strategy. Otherwise, your top talent are going to leave. And tech is not currently collapsing the way we expect it to collapse. The tech unemployment rate is 1.8% in January. And great tech people who work at Meta ahead of layoffs will go find another job, and they're having no problems finding jobs. The people that are left might be people that might be worse performers. So I am quite concerned about what happens to Meta from here on.
The last question I have for you is you mentioned a potential flight of talent who maybe were brought into Meta with this vision of the metaverse and what it might be. If there is a flight from talent, if they do abandon these hopes of the metaverse, could you see a world where this talent maybe does create another startup that does the metaverse in the way that it was originally pitched? Do you see that as a potential opportunity?
I don't. Unfortunately, I don't right now, because we are in an environment where no one wants to leave their company because we're worried about potential layoffs, we're worried about a recession coming. If we were in 2021 and Facebook fumbled with their plans to get into the metaverse, there would be a whole host of VCs including myself probably, who would be funding all the ex-Meta people who are starting companies. Right now, VCs are sitting on some dry powder, a lot less than before, sitting on their hands, afraid to write checks, especially in something as speculative as the metaverse, which is very difficult to conceive today what it even means. Is it Meta's vision, or is it something that we've seen already with like Decentraland, Sandbox, Axie Infinity? So I also think a lot of the people that joined Meta at that time, they were drinking the Kool-Aid. When everyone was wanting to invest in virtual land, those same developers were excited about building the future inside of Meta. That quickly evaporated, and that temporary excitement has turned into serious concern about, oh, this is the wrong era for me as a smart developer to peg my career to. And no surprise, everyone now wants to jump into AI. AI, I think, does have a lot of tangible potential. And I'm assuming those very smart developers who join Meta to work on the metaverse vision are probably the ones pushing Zuck to do something fun with generative AI. Otherwise, these guys are going to leave Meta and they're going to be funded by VCs who are now currently pouring money into initiatives like generative AI.
Okay, that's all for Crypto World this week, but we'll be back again on Monday, so we'll see you then.